Welcome back to She's Aligned. Wait, no, I introed the last one.
Bless. I don't think the people care.
I know.
They're probably like, just say it already.
Because I remember last week I also started with like, ooh, juicy episode.
Maybe because we did 2 last week. That's probably why we're all confused.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
True. Well, today's episode, 1, welcome back. 2, today's episode is probably going to trigger a lot of people.
Again,
we're always triggering. But this is something that both Natalia and I have dealt with and have personally have like been triggered with and dealt with. And so I'm excited to get into this because being an entrepreneur for 10 years, I've had my fair share in this and it's been a struggle. So
yeah. But wait, you didn't say the topic.
Oh. Today we're going to be talking about copying, competition, and collaboration. And it's like, why collaboration with competition and copying? But we'll share a little bit more of that later in the episode because sometimes I think that, I don't know. Oh, shut up, Nat. Let's just get into it.
Yes. I'm excited. When you sent me this topic, I was like, yes. Instantly, I was like, yes, we need to talk about this because it happens a lot, especially in the online space. I deal with this. I know you deal with this. And I think none of us really know how to handle it. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if we have the answers to any of it really, but I think we can just share our thoughts and our experiences, and hopefully that helps you guys.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to have answers, but just, like you said, just tips on how to deal with it. I think the way we deal with someone copying us in competition has everything to do with our own emotional maturity level. So check yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which means I'm like a toddler when it comes to copying.
I used to be.
Really?
I used to be. I've gone a long way now.
Yeah.
It used to really, really trigger me. Now I'm a little bit better with it.
That's good. And I know we'll talk about that too because it's for sure it's an area of growth. But I don't know if you want to share maybe kind of like what you were telling me earlier at the gym a little bit about copying, and we can like dive in.
Okay, so, copying. Okay, so I've had my fair share with having other people copy not only just business, but things that I do like in my life. But mainly I want to talk about entrepreneur and business because I do think that a lot of us that are entrepreneurs can look at people that do similar things as like competition and that they're copying us. And sometimes people do copy you guys. My first example that I want to share, when I had my princess company, there was a company that was literally 15 minutes away from me. And they copied everything that I did. They copied the layout of my birthday parties. They, as soon as I got my venue, I started hosting children's events and activities at my venue. So this was like a kids space venue. So we would do like story time with princesses or pumpkin carving with princesses, or we would do like arts and crafts with princesses. We would do dancing with princesses. Next thing you know, this company that has been copying me has now partnered up with like a children's boutique in their city and started doing the exact same activities that I was doing. And mind you, at that time, it wasn't popular or wasn't normal for princess companies to have venues. Most of the princess companies that are out there are only weekend-based businesses, and the performers will go pick up costumes from the owner's home and then take them home and then get ready at their own place on the weekends and da-da-da-da-da. I was different. I knew that I wanted a venue, and so having a venue wasn't normal for any princess company to have. So when I started doing these activities, and mind you, they had already been copying me for a while, and when I started doing these activities because I finally got my space, now they were like, oh, now let me do the same thing, but I don't have like my own venue, so let me partner with the children's boutique, and they started doing the exact same thing that I was doing. And I struggled with it so much because I felt like I was being ripped off. I felt like I had put so much thought into my activities. I didn't feel like any other princess company here in SoCal or anywhere that I really knew, because I was heavily into the princess community. I was in the Facebook groups that had over 1,000+ members on there. I spoke with many princess company owners from all around the world, and nobody really had a princess venue. So
you were the OG.
I was like one of the OGs, like for
venues.
Venues. So when someone else came and not only was copying my party aspect of it, but copying the venue aspect and the activities, I felt like I was being ripped off. I felt like all of the hard work that I was putting was invalidating. I always felt like I was very creative and very unique in the activities that I offered for my clients and for the children. And so to have someone come in and just completely like copy that, I was so triggered. Like I used to talk about that so much that it consumed my life.
Dang.
And that's something that I do want to talk about, is when you are triggered, you have to be careful because it will consume you. It will consume you, and you will feel uneasy throughout the day. You'll be bitter, you'll be mad. And yeah, that's basically like my first example of how I had someone copying me in business.
So I'm curious, like now, looking back, how do you feel about it now?
Ooh, good question. It still kind of upsets me because I felt like I was so original. I tried so hard to be really original in the princess community. So looking back, I'm like, ugh, like it's still upsetting. But at the same time, I now know that it's inevitable that someone is going to copy you.
Yeah.
So I do feel better about it now, and it doesn't get to me as much anymore, but it was a lot of learning that I had to do.
But you still think it was wrong?
I do still think it was wrong.
Yeah. Because I think that's what I struggle with, is like, because I think that when we're in a position of influence and of inspiring people, it's inevitable that they're going to begin to replicate what we're doing. And so I think that's like the inner work that I'm currently doing around copying, because I get very triggered when people copy me, like very similar to how you were saying, where you're like, oh my gosh, like you're consumed by it, you know? But then...
And then how can you not be? Because you put so much thought and effort.
Because you created it.
Yes, you created, and then to have someone just come and just be like...
Just do it. Yeah, because it's, like you said, it's our own thoughts, our own ideas, our own concepts that we're bringing to life. And then someone just comes and is like, I like that, I'm going to take it. That's so hard to deal with, I think, emotionally. But then what I struggle with is like, in a way, this is like my inner work right now, right? And the thoughts I have, I'm like, but if I want to be big, and if I want to inspire, and if I want to be influential, that means that at a certain point, I feel like I have to release that, because it's gonna happen. Like if it's happening right now, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong necessarily, I'm just saying like, damn, I'm gonna have to let it go, because if I'm gonna get triggered every single time, like let's say, you know, right now with my 300-400 followers that I have, and I'm over here like, okay, I want 10K followers. So if right now I have people doing it, how much more are people going to be doing it at the 10K, the 20K, you know? And so I'm like, if I really want to be influential, what does that mean? It means that I influence people. It means that they look at me, and that if we want to be a trailblazer, that does mean a level of imitation, you know, because when I look at even like, let's say a famous performer, and they're influencing, you know, the people that follow them, then like, let's say she dyes her hair blue, then all of a sudden people are showing up at the concert and their hair is blue. And imagine if she was like on the stage and like, get out of here, you copied my hair. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to find the balance of like, because I do think it's wrong, especially in business, to steal concepts and ideas. And where is it influential, and we're being a trailblazer, and therefore people are going to come after us? And then when is it like wrong?
I think I have the answer for that.
Let's hear it.
Well, copying is literally copy and paste. I think that's when it's wrong.
When it's like not at all tweaked.
Correct. Yes. That can even mean, like, let's say they're taking your content, but only switching out like the business name. for theirs. That's straight
Yeah.
copy and paste, which I don't think is okay.
Yeah.
And I think in the context of what I was doing, it was literally the exact same thing, copy and paste. So I don't think that that's okay.
Yeah.
I think it's okay for people to be inspired by you. I think there's a difference when someone looks at your idea and likes your idea but makes it their own, like uses your idea but makes it their own, and like is able to twist it and tweak it to where it's not similar to yours.
Yeah,
but
it's their
they
own.
took pieces from it and they got inspiration from it,
Yeah.
but again made it their own.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's okay.
Yeah.
And I do think in the online space, there is going to come a level, like you said, where if we want to be influential, we're going to influence people. So people are going to be inspired and they're going to probably implement and do what we do.
Yeah.
And I think that that's okay as long as it's not straight copy and paste.
Yeah.
And I actually think it's good to be inspired.
Yeah.
You know,
But you have to know where, like, okay, if you were on the other side, like, where would you draw that line, you know, of knowing, like, I'm inspired by you, but I'm also not copying you.
I'm trying to think context-wise. Like, I'm trying to think every day. I'm trying to think creativeness. I'm trying to think business.
Because I feel like it happens a lot to me too, and I don't know, like, I'm like, how do I, you know, if for someone, or the people that listen to this, I'm like, how do we educate on
Okay, so what's like an example for you?
that, like, that's happened to me? Let me think.
That way I can kind of understand what you're saying.
Like, okay, so what happens with me a lot is that, you know, I have a smaller audience, but people who have bigger audiences follow me. And what I notice is that, you know, because I don't like to really follow a lot of people, so that what I create is my own. So that I'm mindful. I'm like, oh, I didn't get this from so and so, you know. But then what happens is I'll create something, and then I'll see these people with bigger audiences like replicate it, and that triggers me. And I know it's like my inner work too. Like, one, I do think it's wrong, but then I also get very triggered because I'm like, they're taking something that I made, and because they have a bigger audience, like, they're able to take it on a larger scale and do something bigger with it, even though it was my idea.
But what is that? Is that like a course? Is
Yeah,
that like a
I had somebody that
strategy?
straight up like copied like a group, like a course that I created.
And they took your
And
course?
I don't know if it was like you know, I don't know what they had within the content, but like the name was very similar, the outline was very similar.
okay.
And I was like, I was triggered because I'm like, damn, you didn't even like it was just too obvious.
Again, that would be a copy and paste. That would be a copy and paste because it's, like you said, it's the outline, it's the context, it's like the title. All they really did is just, like you said, tweak the title of it. That's copy and paste.
Yeah.
That's literal copy and paste.
Yeah.
I think inspiration is just, how can I explain?
Because I feel like you're really good at being inspired by things, but then making your own thing. So I guess I'm curious, like, what, like, for example, okay, let's use your apartment. You know, how did you come up with how to decorate it?
Well, first of all, knowing my style and knowing what I like, first of all, and that's also something that we can talk about because a lot of people don't even know what they like.
And I think that's why they just copy, paste,
Correct.
copy. But that's the world we live in.
But
That's what we're taught.
but then that's also not you being authentic. And I think that's where we get like the phonies and the fakes, like what we talked about in the previous episode.
Yeah.
It's really dangerous for someone to come in that doesn't know what they like or want and create something, because then it's not authentic, like I said, you know. But going back to the apartment question, so I know the style I like. It's something that I've always been very attracted to and inspired by. So basically what I do is I go onto Pinterest and I create different boards, but I type in like the keywords. So I'll type in like Victorian, modern, antique, vintage, and then I'll start getting a ton of photos, and then I'll curate my perfect like collage, and then I'll go out and look for specific pieces, but it's not like identical to what I'm finding in the Pinterest board, because a lot of like the photos that I see online of like what I've curated, a lot of them, like I don't even like the pieces that they have in there, but I like the setup of it, or I like the collage of like the frames that they have. So basically what I do is like I'll look at the collage, and then I'll go out and go vintage shopping, and I'll find the pieces that I like, and then I piece it together in my own way. So I guess like maybe that would be like a good, like I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, I feel like that's a good example of like inspiration, being inspired. And I actually just thought of a good example of straight up like copying, so people can see the difference. Like inspiration is like you go, you look, you know what you're looking for because it's coming from you. You're not like, I want to be like so and so, so I'm going to see what she likes and I'm going to copy what she's doing.
Yes.
You know, but I know one of the things that I saw happen in the online space was this girl that's like a big influencer got called out a few years ago because she was taking quotes from like Maya Angelou, you know, and like really like well-known people, and she was posting them but without the person's name. So she was just taking these quotes, posting them as her own, and so she got called out, you know, because people realized like, oh, she's getting these quotes that aren't hers.
First of all, how do you not think people are gonna
notice?
That's also like what mind boggles me, because I mean, you and I have talked about people that copy, and we've seen it even recently. We're like, dude, like, how do you not know that people are gonna pick that up?
Yeah.
Aren't you embarrassed? I don't know.
Yeah, like people are smart.
Yes.
You can't BS your way anymore. I think it only gets you so far.
Correct.
And then you get people discover like, oh, you're phony, you know. But so to me, that's almost like a comparison of what you were saying was like inspiration, and then copying was straight up like, I'm taking yours and I'm pretending it's mine. You know, and I think that's the difference. So
I think it really stems with knowing and wanting, knowing what you like and want, and then trying to create like an inspirational board, but make it your own way. That I think that would like, I mean, that's the way I kind of go about, because like I'm not an interior decorator or anything, so I don't know like the proper way to fix furniture, right? So I'll look at like on Pinterest, I'll look at like a way that you should be rearranging your furniture in the living room or in the dining area, and so I'll get inspiration from that. But again, like when I'm out and about, I get pieces that bring me joy, that I feel are a good representation of like who I am and what I like. I don't think I've ever been like on Pinterest and have like copied and pasted anything, because honestly I haven't even seen anything that I'm like, that's me. That's me. I've never seen something
that's exactly you.
So I just take like little elements from each individual picture and kind of put it together in my mind. Then I go find the stuff and then I make it my own.
So do you have any, like, let's say someone might be listening to this and they're like, oh shit, I just straight up copy things. Or maybe they don't.
They're fighting outside.
Oh my gosh. Or maybe they don't straight up copy, but they struggle with finding their own thing. Like, what tips would you have for like, okay, here's how to not copy and just like be yourself?
That's hard, because I don't think you can really fully create something that's 100% authentic if you don't even know what you like.
Like, you have to go on a journey of discovering what you like.
Yeah.
Like, who are you?
But I also do think that to the core, we know what we like. Maybe we're just not fully aware of it.
Yeah.
So I think we need to do a little bit of diving and really ask ourselves, what do I like? What do I want? And start from there.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And there's kind of like a little side note I want to make that like kind of goes with this. It's also a little bit different, but I think because with copying, I think what it comes down to is respecting people's work, respecting people's concepts, respecting what someone has created. And one of the things that I hear about that happens in the online space is like, let's say if someone were to buy one of my courses and then they go and they share their login with a friend so that their friend can get access or somebody else can get access. And to me, when I heard about that, it was like, to me, that's also another way of like disrespecting somebody's work, you know, because and the way that I see it is like you're actually you're not just like stealing, you're also robbing yourself and your friend of the blessing that would come of making that investment in themselves. You know, so if you sign up for a program, if you sign up for a course, if you sign up for anything, especially nowadays, there's a lot of digital access to things. That doesn't mean that you have the permission to share that with other people. You're paying for access for you to have it. So when you're sharing it with other people in a way that's almost like this idea of like, let me share with you, let me, you know, just give it out freely, when somebody put that time and that energy to create this, you know. So it's not exactly copying, but it's sharing something that you should not be sharing with somebody else. And people can take legal action against you. And there was actually one girl who just put out a course, and she found out that another girl was like selling access to it at a cheaper price so that people could give her. So she was trying to resell the course. Yeah, and I do think, you know, with the online space, we're going to see things like that.
But how can you think that that's okay?
Yeah, I mean, that's taking it to another level. That's like the new bootleg. You know,
oh my God.
Well, you know how we used to, not we, but you know how people used
like we. You're like, wait,
not we. You know how people used to go record movies with their like cameras? I feel like that's the new version of it, is like you're taking someone else's content that you paid for and you're selling it to other people. That's you at the swap meet reselling like janky ass movies, you know, but people are doing that. And to me, I'm just like, and I think about that and I'm like, dang, I don't know. There could be people doing that with my courses, and that really hurts me because I'm like, other people, your friend group did not pay for my course. You're robbing yourself, I think, of the blessing that you were going to get from investing in that course, and you're robbing all your friends
energetically,
from them,
for sure,
from, you know, the blessing they would have gotten from investing in this course. What are you teaching them? Like, oh, you don't have to pay for things, like I'll pay for it and you get access, you know. And to me, that's just like another big no that I wanted to mention
about like the coaching educational like online industry.
So, but even with your stuff, I was, you know, when you were saying about the princess thing, I'm sure a lot of that, the person that was stealing it, they could just see based on the way you were running your business, you know. But then imagine if they had somebody come in and internally see what you were doing and then take that, then that's like, because that's how I feel with the courses. It's like you're not just
well,
watching.
I will say that a couple of the people that worked for me also worked for that company.
Oh, well, I mean, they could have been passing on it, because to me that's the same thing. It's like, oh, you can watch my content, you know, that I post that everyone sees and copy that, but then to go into one of my courses or programs and then copy that, that's the thing. You cannot take somebody else's content, whether it's on Instagram publicly or within one of their courses, and reteach it as your own. Like you guys have to realize that we create these concepts, we come up with these ideas. I'm not copying anybody else. When you take one of my courses, like those are things I created. I did not copy them from anybody. So for you to take that and teach it as your own, that's stealing. You need to come up with your own shit, whether it's for your marketing, for your courses, your programs, your business, whatever you're doing. Like, you have the ability to create. And I think we live in a society that teaches us to replicate, but you're an adult now. Like, start making better decisions and start sitting with yourself, sitting with the universe. Source will give you ideas. You have the ability to channel ideas if you sit and create instead of just sit there and replicate, because that is a lazy man's path.
Yeah, I think that's probably the issue here, is that people look outside of themselves instead of internally.
Yep.
They're like, let me see what everyone else is doing and what's working for everyone else, and replicate that.
Yep.
Instead of sitting with themselves and asking themselves, what do I want to create? How can I create X, Y, and Z and be the most authentic version of myself?
Yeah. Anytime I catch myself looking at someone on my feed and I'm like, oh, I should be doing that, I don't follow them anymore, or I'll mute their account, because I don't want anything that I do to be based on what somebody else is doing. I want to respect their work. And I respect myself and my work enough to not just be replicating what other people are doing.
You know what I have also noticed on the Instagram like platform? Because I like on a couple of the pages, I'll follow a ton of like spiritual and like mindset pages and astrology. And I've noticed that there's like a wave of trends of how to have your Instagram like look. And I get that there are trends, right? But then you see that everybody has the same exact like style of post, style of like grid, and there's like, you can't tell who is who anymore. I'll go on like my explore feed and all of the quotes look the same, but they're all from different accounts.
But you can't tell them apart.
I can't tell them apart.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and so like I get that there are trends on Instagram, but also at the same time be you and make it your own, you know? And not too long ago in the astrology sort of like community, I guess, there was like this wave of like Greek mythology sort of like vibe, and
I remember
everyone was doing it.
Yeah.
And I was just like, dude,
that's also bad for business, because you don't have brand recognition.
That's what I was just going to say right now. There is no way for people to recognize you and to remember you. Like, you don't have McDonald's copying Burger King.
Yeah.
McDonald's is their own thing, and you know McDonald's for the red color and the yellow M. You know what Walmart for its blue color, and then it's like yellow star. You know Target because of the red and the Target symbol. Like, you know, you don't see them trying to beat each other.
Yeah.
And I think also when it definitely comes to branding, you have to make sure that you're standing out. And same thing, like when you, I think when you're a service provider, when you're a product based business, any sort of business, you have to do your ultimate best to stand out always, because you want potential clients to recognize you and remember you, because there's no way they're going to do that if you're just trying to be like the person to your right and to the left. They're not going to remember you. So I think this kind of also will go into, I think we should kind of touch base also on standing out and then having competition. Because I think like also there was a wave of like the clean girl aesthetic, right?
Yeah.
And then there was the wave of like gray, and there was the wave of like white and gold, and then like neutrals. So I don't know if you've seen it at pop-ups, every single booth that's a neutral base like brand, they all look the same. Like none of them, there's nothing that stands out. It's literally like a white or like a beige like table cover, and then their stands are like white and gold, and then they have their gold jewelry hanging, and all of their like names look the same. Like all
if you think she's talking about you, she's talking about 50 of you.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, exactly, because everyone looks the same. So like, so and then you look at their logos and they all look the same, but like with different names, you know? Yeah. So to me, I'm just like, of course, if there's someone else that has the same thing that you do, but has like the same branding, of course you're probably gonna think that it's like that they're copying you, but it's not. They're just trends that you're following, and instead of trying to make it your own, you're just trying. I feel like you're just following trends, and like, oh, like clean girl aesthetic is in, like the neutrals are in, so because that's in, I'm gonna make my business, you know, according to that. Yeah. But the thing is that there are 50 million people doing the exact same thing, so there's no way for you to stand out. And inevitably, you're going to think that everybody's copying you. Yeah. But they're not. They're all just following trends. Also, something that I do want to say about that is like, if you offer specific kinds of products, try to make it as unique as possible. I see this so much like in the spiritual community. Everyone offers the same thing. And then people get triggered because they're like, oh, so-and-so is copying me. So-and-so is copying me. But it's like you guys offer the same products, right? Yeah. But in this case, ask yourself, how am I going to stand out? How is my brand going to stand out? How can I make myself different from these 50 million and one people that offer like spiritual jewelry or offer like candles or offer like sprays? Like think about that. Think, how can I stand out? How can I make it hard for people to copy me? You know, because if you stand out so much with your brand, and if someone copies you, you can say that person copied me.
Yeah.
But if you yourself look like every other 50 million and one brands, and then the person next door also looks like you can't say that they're copying you because they also look like the other 50 million and one brands.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
That's
it's
true.
like, it just drives me crazy. Because I see it so much in like in the community that I'm in. But I also want to talk about competition and healthy competition. So I don't know if you have like any thoughts on competition.
So, I mean, it does tie into like standing out, because I think my one thought with that is like what I always tell my clients is to be themselves, which I think goes back to the advice you gave with not copying other people. Because to me, I'm like, the one thing people can't copy is you. So be you. You know, so I always tell them, like, I don't care. Look, 50 of you sell tarot cards, cool. 50 of you do readings. 50, like, I don't care. But the one thing people cannot replicate is you. So being yourself is the best thing you can do for brand recognition, business, all those things. I feel like when it comes to competition, I don't really like to focus on competition because I feel like there's enough to go around for everybody. And so I don't worry about what other people are doing. I focus on what I'm doing, you know, and I think in a way I've created a world where, and this is kind of, what do they call it when you create, like when you're in your little dream world, there's like a popular phrase for it nowadays, that they say like, I'm living my something life era.
Best life?
No.
Huh? I'm confused.
I'm trying to think of it. But basically like living in your own little world. Like I've created my own world where I'm the star and my people find me. Do you know
you're the main character.
Yes, like main character energy. You know, like that's just like, I'm not here thinking about, oh, what is so-and-so doing? Because that just eats up at you. I think it's a waste of time. Of course, there's people that do similar-ish, but even see in my world, I'm like, nobody does what I do.
Yeah.
You know, that's
me with my princess company.
Yeah, you know, that's me because I'm not worried about what other people are doing. I'm worried about what I'm doing. I'm focused on what I'm doing. So in my world, I'm the star. My people find me, and I don't follow competitors. I don't follow people that do what I do because what they do doesn't matter in my world. So I think there's enough to go around for everybody. I think that if you're constantly worried about what your competitors are doing, then you're just wasting your time. Because for me, it's like I would rather use that energy and that time creating something for my business than being worried about what somebody else is doing. So I don't really think about competition, to be honest. Like my competition is myself, and everyone else, they're either inspiration or they're just there, and like, good for you. You do your thing, I'm going to do mine. What about you? What do you think about?
I agree with you 1,000%. I do think that there is healthy competition. In the beginning of my princess company, mind you, when I started my company, I was 23. So I was still very immature and I was still learning a lot. So when I found out that a company opened in Downey, I was like, it triggered me in the beginning. But it took me like a few years, maybe about like 3-4 years, to realize that even if all of the city of Downey came to me to try to book me, I couldn't serve all of them. So I just thought, like, why am I mad? I had that realization of like, why am I mad that a company in Downey opened? Why am I mad that there's a company in the OC? Why am I mad that there's a company in LA? Even if all of the parties came to me, I can't possibly serve everyone. You know, so I have the same mentality that there's enough to go around. Even if we try to serve everyone, there is no way we can do it. And
do you even want to?
Like,
exactly. I only want to work with my people. I don't want to work with someone who's going to be bitter about working with me because we're not aligned.
Correct.
You know?
Correct. So yeah, that was a huge realization for me. It's like, even if I try to serve everyone, I physically cannot do it. And because you also said that you're not worried about like what your competitor is doing. And I agree. Nobody should ever be looking over to see if someone else's grass is greener, right? Because if you're constantly worried about their grass, you're neglecting your grass, and then all of a sudden yours turns yellow, and then it turns into dirt. You know, so I absolutely agree with that as well.
So what you were saying, it reminded me of when Michael Phelps was going to swim against this like really young swimmer who was like, you know, up and coming. And the younger guy was like talking a lot of shit. You know, he's like, I'm gonna beat him and blah blah blah. And Michael Phelps was just like quiet, wouldn't say anything. And then the day of the competition, they literally have a picture, and I'm sure a lot of you have seen it, where they're swimming, and the younger guy they got a shot of him looking over at Michael Phelps, and he ends up losing. And they actually say it was that moment, it slowed him down to look over at him, and Michael Phelps just like, you know, beat him. And I always think about that when I think of competition, because it's like, if you're just focused, and not even competition, even if you just spend your time constantly scrolling online thinking, oh, look at what so-and-so is doing, look at what they're doing, look at what they're doing, look at what they're doing, like, clean up your feed, please, because you're just wasting your time and your energy looking over at other people when you could be focused on your own lane, your own race, your own journey, your own path, and that gets you so much further.
I agree with that, but then I don't.
Why?
Okay, so I agree that if you're easily triggered, you should clean up your feed to where you're not triggered. But I also don't agree, because I think that shows your level of maturity, and that shows that you have a lot of work to do. And even though, because you are not following those accounts, because you lack that awareness, you lack that maturity, you will always be thinking about what other people are doing. It doesn't matter if you clean up your feed.
But I also feel like it's not just that, it's also choosing what content you consume, right? So for example, I don't watch the news, and it's not because I lack maturity, it's because I know that's not the type of energy I want to consume. So with my account, I don't follow certain accounts, not because of my like maturity. I see it more as like, what do I want my feed to be? I want it to be inspiration. So if something doesn't inspire me, then I don't follow it.
Yeah. But we're talking in the context of like copying. So if someone is constantly looking at their competition to see what they're doing, and they follow their competition, I think that they have a lot of internal work to do. It's not so much like their feed is consumed with negative like news.
But to help them with that, I would tell them to unfollow it.
Yeah, I think so too. But I think that'll only help someone to a certain extent until they do the inner work. And if you guys pay attention to our podcasts, that's what we talk about day in and day out. It all stems from the inner work.
Like, that's just step one.
Correct.
Yeah, correct. I agree with that. Yeah, because like you're saying, you have to still do the inner work. That's almost just like the initial solution, or like the Band-Aid you're putting on it. But, you know, like, it makes me think of, let's say, like, you want to eat healthier, so you get rid of junk food in your home, but you're constantly still going out to eat. Like, have you really done the inner work? Because the inner work would get you to truly create a longer lasting solution.
The self-discipline.
Yeah, instead of like, I'm just gonna throw these chips away, but Natalie made some bread. So Natalie made some bread this week, and since I'm on my period, I was like, I want some, so she brought me some bread. That's why I'm saying that.
That was funny. She was not answering my DM fast enough, so I was like, let me call her, because I'm about to head her direction right now.
Literally, like, my period was so happy. I was just eating that bread up, talking about eating healthy. So one of the things that I have actually seen in the online space that I like is people who could be competition actually like collaborating and working together. So I think you have some experience with that, right?
Yeah, I do. So in the prints, I keep referencing the princess community because I dealt with this a lot. I still do actually in the spiritual community that I'm in now. I collaborate with so many people, and I collaborate with people that are technically my competition. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. Okay, so what I was going to say about competition is that, okay, how was I going to say it? I was going to say that I was going to make the distinction between someone who's a healthy competitor and someone who is not. But in the sense of this also goes into collaboration. So in the sense of when I was a Princess Party company owner, the person who was hardcore a competitor was the person that was copying me. The people who were not unhealthy competitor, they were technically my competitors, but in a healthy way, were the people that respected me enough to do their own thing and collab with me and help one another when needed.
Okay.
Hold on, truck.
So the difference was the unhealthy copy, the healthy collaborate.
And just because someone offers something similar to you, it doesn't mean that you can't be a business friend. It doesn't mean that you can't collaborate with them. On the contrary, you want to. You want to collaborate and be friends with a healthy competitor because you just never know when you might need them. And in my case, there were moments where I didn't have a party covered. So I reached out to these owners and I said hey, I have a party on this day and I don't have a performer. Do you have anyone that can help me?
Oh, I
of
love
course,
that.
Natalie, right away. Let me go ahead and ask my cast who's available. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, Natalie, so-and-so is available. Here's their information. And
oh my gosh, I love that.
Yeah. And then vice versa too. If they needed someone, I'm going to reference Tati. Tati, are you available to cover a party in OC for OC party, blah, 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 blah. Oh, yeah, I'm free. Let me go. I could actually do that after your aerial party. I can do it. So we would help each other constantly. Or if I needed a costume that if there was a party that booked that wanted a specific character, but I didn't have that character, I could reach out to another company and the healthy competitor that I would collaborate with and ask hey, this mom wants to book this character, but I don't have them. Can I rent your costume? And gladly, and vice versa. So these are ways that you can help one another and be in healthy competition, that it becomes a collaboration. But you also need to make sure that there is that mutual respect with one another.
And they genuinely what's their energy? Are they genuinely wanting to help?
Correct. And same in the spiritual community, I collab with a lot of people, and I can easily, even regular entrepreneurs too that have a space, I could easily be oh, you do the same thing that I do, and now you're offering the same thing that I do, you're my competitor, so now I'm not gonna like you. Now, could it get to that level? It can. If I see that they're a copy and paste of what I'm doing, then obviously I'd be hello, you're disrespecting me at that level. But if it's a healthy competitor, there's mutual respect, I don't mind collaborating. And I think it's beautiful when you can collaborate with people that offer the same thing as you, because you can help each other. You can offer each other advice. And that's basically what I have to say on that.
Yeah, I mean, when I think about collaborating, I think of you, because I feel you're really good at community building, connecting people. And I feel you do such a good job of cultivating that and creating it for the people that you know. And that's probably your Aquarius.
Yeah, honestly.
I mean,
it's my moon too. But I think it's healthy to have healthy competition and to collaborate with people, and don't think that just because someone is offering the same thing as you, that automatically makes them competition in a bad way. It doesn't. It doesn't. You can collab with people. And that's the only real way that any of us are able to accomplish anything. We can never do it alone. And at the end of the day, whether you like it or not, you're learning from someone in your industry that is technically your competitor. So, and they could be across the world, but still, they're still in the same niche, and you're learning from them in one way or another, because there's no way in hell that you can be an expert at trying to think. Trying to think like there's no way you can be an expert in coaching if you yourself haven't taken 50 million in one coaching sessions and have learned the ways that other coaches do certain things.
Yeah.
So,
and I do think it comes down to knowing like what you're good at, what you're not good at, and being okay with that, and I actually also feel like when you collaborate, you both grow faster together. So the people you work with, like, you guys grow more because you're tapping into each other's communities and each other's audiences, each other's strengths, like whatever, like how Natalie was saying, oh, I don't have this, but you have it, let me help you, and vice versa. So I think one of the best things you can do is get in community, collaborate, connect with people. I know this is something I don't want to say I struggle with, because I have collaborated and done things like that, but I know I often have to push myself to get out there and be like, go talk to people, go mingle, because I'm perfectly happy doing things alone, especially in business, because I'm focused, I'm just doing my thing. But whenever I've been in group settings, collaborated, it has always been an incredible connection. It's helped me make friends, it's helped me grow. So there's really only like benefits to it.
Exactly.
Like, look at us collaborating on this podcast.
Yeah, for sure. I think collaboration is such a beautiful thing, and I think more people need to do it. Like, I've even thought that I want to collaborate with another pop-up, so if someone does like let's say, like if I can find like a strict vegan pop-up that they're like, oh, we would love a section of spiritual vendors.
That would be so cool.
Like, it would be cool if it could be like vegan street fair, but like with Magic Market or something like that,
Manifest it.
So, yeah, guys, just know you can always collaborate, and don't be so quick to shut it down. Don't be so quick to shut people down that offer the similar things to you if they're not a copy and paste of you, Don't be so quick to shut people down. I think collaboration is one of like the beautiful things that we can do, and I honestly think that humans are meant to be in collaboration and getting in community.
Yep, you're not meant to do things alone.
Yeah,
I think it's harder alone. And don't be afraid to reach out to people if there's somebody who you want to connect with, because that'll happen to me. I'll come across someone online and I'll really like their energy, or when I join groups, I'm like, I like that person, I like that person, and there's a reason why. So don't be afraid to reach out to them and connect, and just see what, set up a virtual coffee date or an in-person coffee date. You never know, even if it's friendship that comes out of that it's like to have entrepreneur friends who get it and who get you, or friends who are also on the spiritual path. Like, get out of your shell, and that's going to just expand you so much as a person, and in turn that's going to expand your business. So yeah, collaborate. Collaborate, don't copy. Healthy compete.
Do not copy and paste.
No,
that's a big no.
Nope,
we don't like copycats. A part of me is like, do I want to see more?
I know, like, is there anything else?
And if you're copying someone, knock it off.
Now. Go say sorry.
Pow time.
Stop sharing your logins.
Oh my god. And it's crazy because like in the past year I've even seen people where it's like literal copy and paste, and it's scary. Yeah. Honestly, I think when someone copies and pastes like you, it's scary. It gives me like sociopath, like stalker vibes.
A digital colonizer. Like, just no. That's a no. But also, I'll mention this. A lot of us, I do think, have sister wounds. Like if you have a hard time collaborating, reaching out to people, it could be like inner work you need to do around like being in community, especially if you grew up in a home where maybe you realize you can't trust people, or whatever environment. It could even be a past life thing where if you find yourself struggling to be in community, there could be just some inner work there that you need to do, and ask yourself, why do I have such a hard time being in group settings or collaborating, you know, and this was work I had to do.
Or like, why do I view everyone as like competition or as something bad?
Yes, because that was me. I had to work through that, where I would go into groups and I'd be like, everyone here is just going to copy me. Everyone here is just going to steal my ideas. Like, and so I had to work on that, where, you know, now like I'm in a group again and it's just, it feels so different, but it's because my energy is different. I'm not going in there thinking everyone's after me. And I've seen this with people, especially when their businesses start to grow and they become very successful. If you get to that point and you think there's always a target on your back and that everybody's after you, one, who do you think you're going to attract? And then two, how are you really going to build genuine connections that are going to grow your business? You know, so not everyone is out to get you. Clear that energy, clear that shit. Believe that you can have genuine good friendships, and you'll begin to attract that into your life.
Thanks for ending on that note. That's gonna be a reel. I think that's it.
I know, like, I don't have anything else to say.
I'm like, how do you top that?
Cherry on top. Well, guys, thanks for joining us. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and we're maybe a little triggered, but not too triggered.
Yeah, I actually really liked this episode.
Yeah.
I think we kind of went in harsh with the copying, but I think we ended off. Yes, we needed to. But we ended off on a really good note.
Yeah, I think so too.
Okay. So don't be a psycho stalker, copy and paste. It's okay to have healthy competition. Do not constantly look over to see what your competitor is doing. And collaborate with people. You will lose if you keep looking at
Yes. Stop looking.
Yeah. Okay, anyways, we'll shut up now.
We will see you guys in the next episode.
Bye. Wait, let's do that again. That was like out of nowhere.
Bye.
Like so straight to the point.
Okay, bye now. I'm done.
Okay, let's do that again.
That's so mean. My boyfriend always calls me out because he's like, you just like hit a wall and you're just like done. And I'm like, yes, I am. This is the wall. We're done now.
You know, it's so funny. It's that my boyfriend tells me the same thing. My mom has always told me the same thing. And like once I'm done, like I'm done. My mom says que se me caen las llantas. And so whenever I'm like done and Dan sees it, he's like, se te cayeron las llantas. And I'm like, yes.
So funny.
Like I'm a carriage and the wheels just go
like, okay, I'm done. But what happens with me is I'll fall asleep because we'll go on dates, and then, you know, at nighttime I'm just like not a night person, so I start getting sleepy, and he'll notice in the way I start talking, so he'll be like, he's like, I know you're sleepy now, but I appreciate the effort.
I love that.
I'm like, okay, good night. Let me know when we're there.
You're like, I take nap.
Yes, I sleep now. Well, okay. Well, maybe I'll let you do it because mine is very like abrupt. Goodbye now.
Okay. Okay, well, I'm just going to say thank you guys for joining us today. We hope you learned something and enjoyed this episode.
Yes. As always, DM us. Let us know what you think.
Yep. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.